Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Slash Filmcast, the official podcast of SlashFilm.com. I'm David Chen, and with me is
Devindra Hardware.
And joining us today, he is the co-host of the 5x5 gaming podcast DLC, Jeff Kanata. Welcome back to the Slash Filmcast. Jeff, how are you doing today, sir?
I am doing excellent. I would just like to shout out to Homie, who don't play that.
That makes no sense, Jeff.
I know.
Alienated most of our audience.
That makes no sense to people who have no idea what we were talking about before the show, but it's cool.
People were not born in the 90s or listening to the show.
They love inside jokes, and they love jokes about things that they never really actually watched because they were too young.
Thanks for continually reminding me why we invite you back to this podcast, Jeff.
Yes,
anyway,
nailed it.
If you're just tuning into the Slash Filmcast for the first time, I'm sorry, first of all, but you can find more of our episodes at slashfilmcast.com. You can also email us at slashfilmcast@gmail.com. Let's get something out of the way right off the top of the show, guys. Last week, we announced that we would be giving away a Blu-ray for the film Knights of Badassdom, which is out on Blu-ray and video on demand about LARPers. And we said the way to enter this contest is to either email in your review or to review us on iTunes at the Slash Filmcast page. Well, dozens of you did review the show on iTunes and also send in your reviews, and so we really appreciate it. A lot of overwhelmingly positive reviews, some negative reviews. People clearly holding on to their feelings of the Slash Filmcast, waiting for this contest to let it all out, to let it flow. But we really appreciate you guys leaving the reviews. It's really heartwarming to see. And out of all these reviews, one of them clearly rises above the rest. And that is a review by Sir Pop, which is entitled For Film Fans, by Film Fans. And it reads as follows, quote, "Film spotting and the business may have the gravitas of public radio, but this podcast is the best ongoing conversation about what's happening in film and television. Where else can you hear Armand White defend himself? James Cameron describe the origins of his visual sensibility, contrast Superman theme music from John Williams to Hans Zimmer, and hear Ryan Johnson pick his banjo? Nowhere. That's where. If you're not listening to the Slash Filmcast, you know nothing, Jon Snow." That's a Game of Thrones reference for those who don't know. End quote. So thank you so much to everyone who entered. Sir Pop, email us at slashfilmcast@gmail.com.
It's reviews like that are the reason that Pop got knighted in the first place.
That's correct. That's how he got his Sir status.
Yeah.
But there were a bunch of great reviews. In fact, the most intriguing review, I would actually say, is I was listening to this podcast when I met my wife by Rooster423. Doesn't really go into that story, but I really want to hear it. So really appreciate it if you would send us an email at slashfilmcast@gmail.com and explain to us how you met your wife while listening to the Slash Filmcast. Yeah, we over the years, we've heard a lot of interesting stories about people who have been listening to the Slash Filmcast when interesting things were happening to them. Wasn't there's like one where like he was having a baby? Right?
Yes.
His wife was having a baby while he was listening to us. Always interesting to hear.
I'm sure she appreciated that.
Yeah. He had to tell her to quiet down.
Honey, you're not going to believe how they feel about Transformers 3.
Well, Jeff, I think it was one of those situations where he had to be in like the waiting room or something like that, and so he needed something to calm his nerves. Which, listening to Jeff tear a new hole in Noah is definitely going to let you do. So, thanks to everyone who entered. And if you just feel like leaving a review anyway for no promise of a prize, that would still be awesome. Visit us on iTunes, go to slashfilmcast.com, leave a review for us. We'd really appreciate it. But thanks to everyone who entered. Sir Pop, email us at slashfilmcast@gmail.com. Get in touch and let us know your mailing address, and we will send out the Knights of Badassdom Blu-ray headed your way soon. As always, you can email us at slashfilmcast@gmail.com. We like to go through some emails, some follow-up from people at the beginning of episodes sometimes. So we got an email from Peter Soretta, who is the editor-in-chief of slashfilm.com and who makes this podcast possible, regards to our discussion of 4DX last week. 4DX, the new fully immersive cinema experience. And which I don't think any of us were particularly excited about. But
we were all pretty dismissive of it.
Yes, we were pretty dismissive. Peter wrote in this, quote, "I first found out about 4DX at CinemaCon last year when I saw a ridiculous photo from a brochure of a guy in a movie theater being immersed in every possible 4D effect. It looked insanely ridiculous, so I tweeted it out. And many Slash Film readers quickly responded to tell me that 4DX is actually already pretty big in international markets like Asia, Korea, and Mexico. They've been around internationally since 2009 and are just coming into the US now. I think there are already over 100 screens equipped with 4DX with plans to double that by next year. I'm not trying to say it's not a fad, but it isn't a rinky-dink company with a couple of theaters. This company seems to be expanding pretty fast, even though it takes up to $2 million to upgrade a screen to 4DX, end quote. So, guys, how do you feel about yourselves now, huh?
Well, with all due respect to Peter, I am going to continue to be dismissive of this technology.
I think it's a good point to have, which is that it's a big company. It's not just like some small company.
Sure.
In the U.S., it's not very big, but it could be soon. And that being said, I mean, even Peter's email seems to imply that this is probably unlikely to get beyond a niche experience.
Yeah. I guess that's part of the point. But the thing is, like, I really want to know how this company is doing. Because just having money doesn't really say anything. I cover, at VentureBeat, I cover a lot of companies that have a ton of money, but aren't doing anything or making zilch or burning that money like fuel. So I don't know. I'd love to know, like, what our listeners, if anybody's actually,
Actually, if you have experienced 4DX, we have a lot of international listeners. If you have experienced 4DX, then please email us at slashfilmcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you think. We may read your email at the top of the show.
Much more exciting to me than this 4DX thing is this Jaunt company that I just got wind of this week. Have you guys talked about this already?
No, I don't think so. Tell us about it, Jeff.
Well, it seems to be VR tech, at least in the gaming space, is getting a lot of traction right now, and people are getting really excited about Oculus Rift's purchased by Facebook, giving them a lot of money to work with. And
yes, excited. That is the correct term.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm excited. I'll just speak for me personally. Then some other people are chagrined by that, but I think that they're chagrined because of how much excitement they had for Oculus.
Right.
And Sony coming out with their Project Morpheus VR. I think VR is really gaining traction, and it's really the technology has finally caught up with the vision for it. It works. Having actually had firsthand experience with Oculus, I can tell you we're there. It's going to be a thing. And now this company Jaunt looks like they're intent on creating narrative movie-like experiences inside a VR type technology environment. And they're trying to sell filming technology to people to create movies with a full 360-degree view, so that when you're inside the VR headset and the movie is happening, you can move your head around and look where you want to look rather than where the filmmaker wants to point his camera. And while I think this is going to replace movies, and certainly the artfulness of where you point a camera is inherent in the movie-going experience, I do think this could create a different kind of experience that I'm really interested to try. So it's really exciting to me. If you check out their web pages, jauntvr.com, it's pretty interesting. I don't know. I don't have any first-hand experience on this particular thing to know if it works well or not, but I'm very curious about it. I'd love to try it.
Yeah, I really want to see how this whole field turns out. Like, imagine, I mentioned this last week, but watching, like, the opening scene of Gravity, in VR, like, in person. The real question, though, is the language of cinema is editing, and I have no clue how we're going to handle that in VR.
That was a little jarring, yeah.
Well,
you can't cut between scenes easily.
It's kind of like, I would actually argue that something like VR for a movie may actually bring it into another category that's not actually a movie. Like,
it's a whole new thing.
Do you remember when the Lytro camera came out? People were like, "This thing's going to redefine photography." It never really did, but I don't even know if I would call that photography. Like, I think it might be like a completely different class of thing.
It's like experience capturing. Like, and a lot of other cameras are doing it too. The new HTC One phone has a very similar feature. Right. And it's really cool to be able to focus different parts.
Yeah, to be clear, something like Lytro camera, for those who don't know, it lets you take a photo and then refocus it after the photo has been taken. So you can focus on a different part of the photo after it's been taken. And
there's actually an app on Windows phones that lets you do that.
Yeah. Yes, that's correct. Thank you for pointing that out, Jeffrey.
Is that what you're talking about? I'm sorry, I missed.
No, I was talking about Lytro, the camera.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, point being that, like, when I saw that, I was thinking to myself, I don't even know if I define this as photography, because for 100 years or however long, like, photography has been about capturing an image, like the photographer making a bunch of decisions that they then present to a viewer. And if the viewer can then manipulate those decisions, is it a category, like a different category of thing? I would almost argue that it is. And I feel like if a movie is about like a director, cutting, editing, shooting this thing that they present to you, and then you can actually change it, like, is that still a movie? I would ask.
That was at the heart of the whole, like, our video games
right,
art.
our video games are, exactly.
Yeah,
right.
and that's the same thing, because video games can have a very controlled experience, but if you have the freedom to move about, a lot of people don't consider that artistic, because it's not a totally, edited and tightly directed vision.
Right, I'm not saying it's not art. I'm just saying, like, should we call it a movie at that stage, right? Should we call it, like, an immersive experience instead or something?
It's more like, we are capturing experiences.
Right.
And I don't know what to call it yet. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I cannot wait to see it.
Me too. I mean, I think the first application of this will be stuff like what we're seeing with the GoPro camera, where have the experience of jumping out of an airplane, or obviously porn, but these crazy experiences that you can't have, that you can be in the first person perspective of someone who is having, in a much more authentic experience than just watching it on a screen. I think that'll be really cool. And then, you bring up a good point, Devindra, this sort of relationship to video games. If you think of a game like Half-Life 2, which is pretty old at this point, but basically the experience of Half-Life 2, a lot of that game is witnessing dialogue, conversation between characters, non-player characters, where you're able to walk around the room and they're still having their conversation, but you're able to wander around the room and look at whatever you want to look at. And I think that there will be narrative experiences like that where you can just participate or not participate, but the story is happening in one corner of this world, and you can look where you want to look.
Right.
Which we can argue is better or worse, but it'll be different, that's for sure.
Yeah,
definitely.
So Jaunt VR is the site that Jeff was talking about. Joseph Bernstein at BuzzFeed wrote a piece after Facebook purchased Oculus VR, and it was entitled, "No, I will not strap a giant black fantasy box to my face." And the point he was trying to make in this piece was that the Oculus Rift is inherently like a niche product, that even though there's a really strong online vocal following for this, that there's just something like this will never be mainstream, because gathering a bunch of people around TV and watching a game or watching a movie, like, we can wrap our heads around that, but like a bunch of people strapping things on their face. He started a site, a Tumblr called White Men Wearing Oculus Rifts, which you can actually go, it's white men wearing Oculus Rifts, but there's no G in the wearing, it's just wearing. White guys wearing oculusrifts.tumblr.com. He writes here, quote, "Last week I started a Tumblr called White Men Wearing Oculus Rifts, which is just images of white men wearing Oculus Rifts. I did this mostly because I find the sight of unshaved and lumpy Caucasians wearing what appears to be a makeshift bondage masks while making orgasmic mouth shapes intrinsically hilarious. I also hope to gently point out that the hype anointing the device as transformative and fantastical and groundbreaking comes from a fairly homogeneous group of humans, and that this group, due to their homogeneity, may have limited or incomplete perspective on what counts as transformative and fantastical and groundbreaking."
Yeah.
I'm not saying, like, he's right, but I'm just saying that it's a perspective worth considering.
I mean, sure. The thing is, like, personally, I hate tech criticism like that, because it's like, look at this thing. Look how stupid it is. Isn't it stupid, you guys? Don't they look dumb? And it's like, guys, the Palm Trio or Palm Pilot, that was a very niche, technology, but it kind of foretold what everybody would be doing later with smartphones.
Yeah.
Same thing with, like,
I could write a blog about
Macintosh.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Devindra. You could write a blog about idiots staring down at their phone in the middle of traffic, and you could whatever. It's things that are seemingly normal. You can make it's not even criticism.
But it's more like the Oculus as it is not ready for mainstream, but that technology will be streamlined and made more accessible down the line. Like, that's the whole point. That's why we're talking about these things. And to dismiss it outright is just I don't know. What are you doing?
I think the salient point, though, is that it is a solo experience. This is not a communal experience. And that will be, I think, a stumbling point for adoption in a certain sense. Go ahead.
I mean, there's nothing stopping, like, multiple people joining up, linking up. Imagine you sitting in your room wearing 3D glasses, right? Having the same experience with people on your 3D TV set. There's nothing preventing that. Eventually,
yeah, but you're not gonna
physically in the same space with those people, or at least
you could be.
You could be.
Well, but it doesn't matter.
There's so
if
much potential, guys. Like that's the thing.
It doesn't matter
could
if
go
you are.
either
Really,
way.
you're not going to invite your girlfriend over to sit on your couch and both put your Oculus VR goggles on.
I don't know. Hey, let's go play World of Warcraft, and I'm going to be a kick-ass wizard, and you're going to be an awesome archer, and let's go explore this virtual world together. That sounds amazing.
No, I agree. I'm not arguing.
Even if you're on the
I'm
couch
saying,
together.
I'm saying that it doesn't matter that you're on the couch.
Sure.
I'm saying the experience is exactly identical whether she's at her house and you're at your house, or you're both on the couch together.
That's a different. Let's talk about that on DLC at some point, Jeff.
All right.
Because I would totally argue that I miss local multiplayer gaming. It's gone. It's disappeared. And to have that experience in a completely virtual world, I would pay extra for that.
All right. Well, I'm booking you on DLC right now.
Your point is taken about people pointing and laughing at new technologies.
Yes.
But I would also argue, I mean, even the stuff you're saying right now, it will take a lot of work for the mainstream to accept this. I think that is a point that's worth considering. So
it's one of those things like Oculus, like once you try it once you see it, you will believe it. And that's really all it comes down to.
Yes. Yeah. And even you can see videos of like an 80-year-old grandma trying it out and being blown away. It really is you get it once you try it. It looks dorky from afar, but once you try it, you get it.
Well, something also that broke this week, Dana Boyd wrote a piece recently about, is the Oculus Rift sexist? Have you heard about this? I mean, that's a pretty attention-grabbing title, but it is about how like men and women perceive parallax motion differently,
right?
And how Oculus Rift sort of privileges that form of motion for what their program is. So I think there's still a lot of issues that need to be worked out, I think is the only thing I'm going to say. But
yeah, to that point, there are a lot of men that have the same issues that are predominant in females. So it's not. It's a little bit misleading.
Right. I don't think it's. I think sexist is a pretty strong term, but it's something that's worth investigating further.
And there are a lot of issues that have to be worked through too, because just imagine like there's one Oculus demo, right, that just puts you on a ledge, just like nothing beneath you, and there are going to be health issues. There's going to be people having panic attacks, or people who are afraid of heights. They're going to freak out over this stuff. So, yeah, we got a lot.
D-Box.
D-Box.
Why are more people talking about the D-Box? All right. A couple more emails I wanted to get to, and then we're going to get into what we've been watching, film news, and Captain America, The Winter Soldier review. Max from Seattle writes in, was listening to what we've been watching, and David, you mentioned seeking out more material from Jerry Seinfeld. Have you gone to the Seinfeld archives at jerryseinfeld.com? Every day a new bit is put up from some stand-up throughout his career. It's incredible seeing a super young Seinfeld followed by something from his late 90s special. There's a wide contrast, and there's also a great similarity that's pretty comforting. Thought you might have missed that resource. It's kind of obvious, but you didn't mention it, and it has lots of good stuff. And yeah, that's correct. I had no idea that there was a ton of stuff there. So thank you, Max, for pointing that out. JerrySeinfeld.com. Good place to check out. John from San Diego writes in at /filmcast@gmail.com. Just a quick note. In your most recent episode, Dave mentioned that huge format IMAX movies are kind of fading away. They're not a growing industry. While it's true that large format film is being phased out of both capture and projection, large format screens don't seem to be going anywhere. The Dark Knight opened in just under 100 IMAX screens, while its successor opened in more than 330. Catching Fire opened in nearly 350 IMAX displays. These numbers don't include alternative large formats like Regal's RPX. While domestic growth of these screens is slowing, it's growing quickly overseas, especially in China. I would argue that while large format film is fading away, large format screens are and will remain an important differentiator in cinemas, especially as we get closer to the point where digital capture of IMAX quality is possible. I expect we'll see continued demand from theater goers and increased adoption by filmmakers.
Mm-hmm. It sounds about right.
Yeah, it's a good point. And he's right. Yeah, I should have been more precise. Large format film is definitely something that's going away, but camera technology is improving every single day. I mean, guys, Panasonic just announced the GH4, which I am so tempted by. It is a Micro Four Thirds camera that can shoot in 4K. Devindra.
Oh man,
$1,700 to shoot in 4K. I mean, that's just
crazy.
That's incredible.
Crazy.
And
well, at CES this year, I saw an 8K video footage being shown on a Samsung screen. It looked like real life. Like it was insane.
You looked it was like a window that you were looking
exactly.
into.
Right. It was showing. It was just like on a ledge on a mall, like showing different levels of a mall and people walking around. It was insane. So yeah, the digital stuff is definitely going to be going really interesting places for large format.
I mean, one thing I would say is, I understand large format screens are growing in China. There's just physical limitations in the U.S. to how many IMAX screens you can have. Just like
it's probably not going to be full IMAX. I think we could probably give up hope on like the big day, the glory days of having. How big are those things? 40 story, like 80 feet high. Yeah, some ridiculous.
They're very tall. I mean, let's make sure we're precise. I mean, I think he's talking about full IMAX. I think John's from San Diego in his email. So I think as John points out, the growth is slowing just because like if you have a mall, sometimes you just can't build a full size IMAX in there.
You could put two multiplex screens in the size of an IMAX thing, I think.
Right, exactly. So
or something like that.
But good point. And maybe it is something that we'll see change as we have the ability, as like camera technology improves. Like if you can capture full size IMAX images using digital technology and have it look as good, maybe more filmmakers might take it up. Maybe we might see more large format IMAX screens in the future. And it is a very sort of lucrative thing. Like people are willing to pay money to see it in that format. Like Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, they did very well when it came to IMAX. So I would say, the future is, I don't know if I'd call it bright in the US, but I would say
it's large.
It is. It's
big.
Large.
Very big. Yeah.
It has a large potential. Put it that way.
I mean, I actually really enjoy some of the bigger screen experiences. Like I saw Captain America at my local UA theater, and I didn't get to see in the RPX screen. I kind of missed that because that screen just goes from the floor to the ceiling, and it's huge and has Atmos sound. I'm willing to pay the extra $4 or $5 for that experience. That's just me.
Yeah, I agree. I'm willing to pay more money for a better experience as well sometimes. So. Thanks for writing in, John from San Diego, and all the other people that wrote in to /filmcast@gmail.com. Keep those emails coming. So, guys, let's dive into the show. Wanted to point out a couple things I've been watching this week. Firstly, I saw a movie that is out on video on demand right now. It's called...
And theaters, I think.
And in theaters.
Yeah.
It's called Afflicted. It's
about T-shirts.
This is... I don't get the joke, Jeff. What is that?
Mm-hmm. You don't? Really?
Yeah, I don't.
Aren't there like those ridiculous UFC shirts? Afflicted? No.
Oh,
okay. Move on.
I don't.
Beyond our scope.
That's an intergenerational thing, Jeff.
It's too jockey for the show.
This is directed by Derek Lee and Cliff Prowse, who also wrote the script and star in the actual film itself. And it was a 2013 film. It showed at like places like Fantastic Fest last year. It was produced by Zach Lipovsky, who is the creator of Shotlister, which is a former /Filmcast sponsor. Shotlister, an awesome app for doing a shot list on your iPad. Afflicted. I had heard very little about this film, but here's the thing: this movie is genetically engineered for me to like it. Okay, I mean, there's an Asian protagonist. Yeah. It's a found footage movie. Those are like two of my favorite things in movies.
Although it's sort of found footage. It's more like doc footage.
Yeah.
It's not really found, I guess.
You're right. I mean, they set it up as these guys are like these two friends are about to travel around the world, and one of them is a documentarian. Like he makes like internet videos and videos of his travels and puts it on the internet. This movie is awesome. I mean, this is straight up like one of my... it rocketed to the top of the list of like one of my favorite found footage movies of all time. It just really creatively uses the format. It looks amazing. I mean, the thing that I always admire about found footage movies is it needs to look like lo-fi. A lot of it looks like it was shot on like Canon, DSLR cameras.
Yeah. And they show some of the equipment they were using to actually shoot it.
Yeah, they show some of the equipment, but so then the special effects need to also look like not only like they need to look real, but
Right.
captured by lo-fi.
Well,
right?
to explain, right? So these guys are going on a trip around the world. Something horrible happens,
Right.
And this basically, it reminds me a lot of An American Werewolf in London. Just
Right,
like
right.
the same basic setup: two friends going on a trip, something horrible happening, and them trying to deal with it. But yeah, it is. So yeah, when Dave's talking about special effects, there are horror movie special effects in this.
And it's insane because it reminded me a lot of Wreck, where
Right.
you really like there's like whole set pieces play out in long continuous takes, right? And it's just like how did they? I'm just in awe of like how did they even capture this shot? How did they make it look as real as it looked? And just it offers a unique spin on I'm not going to give away what the premise is, but it offers a unique spin on a premise that we've seen for
Sure.
very many times.
And you can see some of these shots, by the way, in the trailer, which doesn't actually give away too much. So just to see like why we're kind of wowed by this movie, just go check that out.
Yeah, so this movie is awesome. I mean, you should check it out, guys. Totally worth a rent. So Devindra, you watched it this week too.
I watched it. I also loved it. Love the entire setup. I love that it is kind of a very different sort of found footage
Right.
or documentary type movie, and it really goes all the way with the story they're trying to tell. It does some new things and kind of introduces new concepts around some really traditional horror tropes, which I really found just fun and interesting. But yeah, those scenes, like there are scenes of just like
There'll be like a huge set piece,
around.
and it'll be a huge set piece, and it's like 3 minutes long, and all this crazy stuff happens, and it's just I'm in awe of it.
The camera is jumping around off of walls
Right.
in a single shot, and I'm like, what? How is this happening?
Right.
So yeah, it's good. It's fantastic, honestly. And honestly, like even look at the poster for this thing. Like this poster just shows the back of a guy's head, but clearly something is wrong. And I love how mysterious that is, and how it doesn't actually tell you what's happening, but you're like, oh, something's wrong here.
Right.
So yeah, just. This is their first movie too. Like I'm shocked at how good this movie is.
It's so good. It actually also reminded me of Chronicle.
Right.
Kind of similar to that. Also creative use of found footage. And I mean, it's not giving away too much to say that something's wrong with the main character. Like it's called Afflicted. Like there's something wrong with the dude. And kind of discovering how that goes.
Multiple levels, Dave.
Right,
Oh, yeah.
right. There's something, he's like sort of discovering what's going on as the movie progresses. Very similar to Chronicle in that way,
Right.
Where it's both about these people that are discovering something about themselves as time goes on. So, and that's a movie that I think we all loved. I think that made it. I think that was in my top 10 of the year that year, Chronicle. So. Yeah, really, really awesome movie. I'm going to be thinking about it for a long time, and I would highly recommend you guys rent it. The movie's called Afflicted, and it is available right now on video on demand, and I believe in limited release in theaters. Check it out because it's one of the best found footage movies I've ever seen. So I'm a huge fan. And also, one other thing I wanted to point out is like one of the cool pleasures of found footage movies is figuring out how they justify the found footage premise, right? Like, oh, this guy just happens to be, a really hardcore documentarian, or like in Paranormal Activity, the guy is a TV producer and he sets up cameras for security around his house. There's all these ways that they justify it, and it's really fun. I do think this movie kind of taxes that believability as you get towards the end.
Well, there's a certain point where the movie relies on them uploading the footage somewhere, and I'm like, are you really going to be?
You're going to take time to like download that to your computer, and
But anyway,
yeah. So it does, but it's fun. I mean, if you sort of don't take that element too seriously, you and just like sit back and enjoy the movie, I think you'll have a good time.
That's one of my gripes about found footage movies. Honestly, I find that a little tedious. Like we signed up for this, we get it. I hate that every single one of those movies seems to have that moment where one character says to the other, "Will you please put the camera down? Come on, man." I hate that. Just like, okay, we don't need that. The audience has.
We've already signed on for this premise.
Complicit.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. That scene does take place in the movie,
of course.
Of course it does.
So yeah. But anyway, Afflicted, great movie. Check it out. And these guys, they have a bright future in the world of film, as does Zach Lipovsky, the producer of the film. So one thing I also wanted to mention, Comedy Central Direct. Have you guys heard of this?
No.
This is a new service that Comedy Central launched. You can find it at ccdirect.comedycentral.com. not too long ago, I think like a year or two ago, Louis C.K. started selling his comedy specials directly to fans. And he sold them at $5 and uncensored, $5. You could download them multiple times, DRM free, which is a big deal because it means that even if Louis C.K.'s site shuts down in the near future, like you're still going to have access to it. You can play it on any device forever. So Comedy Central decided, my guess, this is total speculation, is they saw how ridiculously successful that was. I mean, he made $1 million, I think, for his first special that he sold that way. And they saw how successful that was, and they realized that if they were if they didn't want to be disintermediated out of this equation, they had to create something similarly compelling. And they have. It's called Comedy Central Direct. You go to ccdirect.comedycentral.com. Dozens of comedy specials that you can buy DRM free for $5, including Patton Oswalt special, Hannibal Buress. You can download them as many times as you want in HD and SD. There's bonus features that you can download, all DRM free. It's insane. And a lot of these are really, really awesome comedy specials. And because it's $5, it's like impulse purchase. I bought 6 of these already in the last week. And
you are the problem, Dave.
I am,
the solution.
Yeah, I'm the solution. This is This is exactly what we want from big conglomerates.
Right,
is a really consumer-friendly way of accessing content that we want. And so there's Patton Oswalt, Hannibal Buress. I saw Kristen Schall's comedy special, which was less comedy special and more performance art.
She is special. Yes.
Yeah,
Kumail Nanjiani is on here.
Kumail. Exactly. Tons of awesome comedy specials. Really worth checking out, guys. So ccdirect.comedycentral.com.
Nice.
It's just I'm amazed that this exists, and I'm also amazed that it hasn't got more attention.
Is it DRM free as well?
Yeah, DRM free. This is exactly what we've always asked for.
It's funny because Comedy Central is owned by Viacom, which is known for doing really shitty things around their content too.
That's why I'm completely in awe of this, and I feel like it's worth giving attention to. So check it out, CC Direct, buy a bunch of specials, support this model, and hopefully other companies will take note and say, hey, we don't need to do something like Ultraviolet. We can actually treat our consumers like people and not like thieves. So anyway. All right, that's what I've been watching this week. Devindra Hardwar, what have you been watching?
Cool. Well, speaking of Comedy Central, I wanted to talk about Broad City, a new comedy series that started a couple of months ago, created by Ilana Glazer and Abby Jacobson. This show is amazing, guys. Have you guys seen any of these things yet?
No, I've seen a bunch of ads for it, but
it is so good. It's hilarious. It's a show set in New York City about two 20-something girls who are just having trouble having trouble making money, having trouble with their love lives. Yeah, so it's the typical things. It's kind of like Girls, except if Girls was a straight up comedy. And the show is hilarious. I love the two leads. I love the style of comedy they're going for. It's completely absurdist, but also very.
Sketches?
It's not sketches. It's not sketches. It is. It's sort of like. It's not even Louis, I guess. It is contained episodes telling a single story, but they're also really, really absurdist. It just gets kind of crazy at times. But it's great, especially if you've lived in New York or been in New York enough. There are enough in-jokes here that it's a great New York City experience. But the show is just funny. It's just hilarious. And that's I'm trying to convince more people to check it out. It's up on Hulu Plus now. I think it's on Amazon Prime streaming as well. But so good. So good. And I was shocked, too, because I saw some of the sketches and some of the commercials, and they seemed fine. But seeing their style go for an entire episode really hooked me. It's just pure hilarious, and I'm surprised that these girls were never on something like SNL. I guess this is better. Let them do their own thing and not be weighed down by all the obligations of SNL and everything. Some great guest stars. Amy Poehler appears at some point, and it's just hilarious. Check it out.
Paul Giamatti, I think, was also on.
Paul Giamatti, yeah.
All right, Broad City, available on Comedy Central and also on Amazon and other services. Devindra, what else have you been watching?
Also want to talk a bit about something else. I've been using Hulu Plus now to catch up on some anime series I've been missing. And that's one great thing about Hulu Plus. Guys, I'm not sure Like Dave, you probably didn't have this experience, but for me, growing up in the '90s, to watch anime series, right, to watch Cowboy Bebop and Rurouni Kenshin, I had to like go to a website, find some people copying these things onto VHS tapes, mail them a check, and wait, 3 to 4 weeks to get like a third or fourth generation VHS. Like it used to be hard, guys, and now the day after it airs in Japan, it is translated, it is in HD, it's on Hulu Plus, and I find that amazing. It's just amazing, like the world we live in right now. So I've been catching up on a couple shows like that. Space Dandy is a new show that's being aired just like that right now. Another one I want to mention is Kids on the Slope, which is about, I think it's in the 60s or 70s, it was starring some Japanese teenagers who... they're kind of a couple of misfits or kind of a couple of outcasts, but it's about how these kids use music and jazz especially to kind of bond and communicate and survive high school. Just a great story. It's directed by Shinichiro Watanabe, who did Cowboy Bebop, and also has music from Yoko Kanno, who did the music for Cowboy Bebop. So I love when these two work together. They also did Macross Plus in the early 90s. Just a great show. It's tough to really convince people to watch anime shows that aren't about, kids with superpowers trying to save the world or giant robots or something. But I love anime series that are just like quiet little character pieces that use animation to tell stories that, you could probably do with live action. But I like the anime aesthetic, and I like that. We have artists like Shinichiro Watanabe who are using anime to do more than just crazy shit. But he's good at the crazy shit. He's also working on Space Dandy, which is a crazy ass show. So anyway, if you like anime, if you have Hulu Plus, and if you like anime, you should probably subscribe to Hulu Plus. Check out Kids on the Slope.
Kids on the Slope. Sounds
in
pretty
my
cool.
day, Dave.
Yeah, I remember. I was there for part of your day, but not all of it. Well, anyway, thanks for sharing, Devindra. Jeff Kanata, what have you been watching this week?
Well, I just wanted to quickly mention how much I enjoyed the episode of Community that was aired this week. That was basically an episode of G.I. Joe from my youth done with the Community characters. It actually, I did a in-depth analysis of this on my YouTube channel. If you want to check that out, youtube.com/KanataJeff of 2 N's and 1 T. And so I won't go into too much depth, but I will say I think it basically accomplished the same thing that the Lego Movie accomplished in 22 minutes. It uses toys and those tropes from our youth as a way to analyze getting older and what it is to grow up with that as a cultural touchstone. I think it was really funny and spot on. I mean, it came from the mind of somebody who experienced all that stuff firsthand. You had that it smelled of authenticity, and just amazing that Dan Harmon being back on that show, he's getting away with making episodes of this sitcom. You can't even call it a sitcom anymore. It's not a sitcom. It's this weird potpourri of pop culture analysis that just happens to have the same characters each week. It's pretty out there and wild. And if you grew up in the 80s and watched G.I. Joe like I did, it's pretty much the greatest episode of a sitcom you'll ever see.
It is, yeah. This episode could only happen on Community, with Dan Harmon behind it. It's just so unique and so special.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, check out Community. It's available right now on Hulu, I think.
You really need to catch up, Dave.
I really need to catch up. I've heard this season is great.
There's one early episode all about Nicolas Cage and the mystery of Nicolas Cage's appeal. Yeah. That is amazing.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
It found its mojo. It's like what remember the first 2 seasons of Community when we were all like, oh my God, somebody's making a TV show just for us?
Yeah.
It's back.
Awesome.
That show's back.
Awesome. What else have you been watching, Jeff?
Well, I wanted to come out of the closet a little bit and talk about what I will be watching later today. And that is because I think a lot of people, and myself included, are a little embarrassed on a show as smart and insightful as this one to admit that I am actually excited to see WrestleMania 30 today. And I'm also excited about the WWE's new plan of how you pay for that stuff. Their channel that's $10 a month, they're doing, I mean, who would have thought wrestling would be the first folks to do the thing that we all have been guessing the world is changing into, which is that a la carte, buy a channel, subscribe to an individual channel, and they give you content for that channel, and you don't have to be tied to anything else. They're doing $10 a month, and you get this crazy amount of wrestling content. So I'm excited about WrestleMania. I watch WrestleMania every single year, and it usually costs you like $60, $70 on pay-per-view. And so I usually go with a bunch of friends and pool our money and get it. And now we can watch it for $10. The real question will be, and check in with me next week or whatever, if this stream is going to survive. Are they going to be is the popularity of WrestleMania going to crash the stream, and is it going to make it a failed experiment, or is it going to work splendidly and make everybody happy? That's the real question.
We're on pins and needles for that one, Jeff.
I know everybody will make fun. Like I said,
I'm hanging on the ropes.
It's a guilty pleasure, but I find as ridiculous as it is, as immature as it often is, as poorly written as it can sometimes be, as lowest common denominator as it is guilty of being at times, it is also a unique type of theater that is wholly absent from any other kind of medium. It is a truly interactive form of storytelling. There is true audience participation on every level, and that is, to me, absolutely thrilling to watch. It's so fun to see the give and take of an audience and a performer happening in real time in front of you, and over the course of months. Storylines are decided by audience. They are, I don't know. I can go on and on, but I truly like it, and you guys are just going to laugh at me. But that's
no. It's cool. It's cool. I appreciate hearing your defense of it. So
I know people who are really into WrestleMania as well, so it's I'm kind of used to it. I really loved the stuff when I was a kid too, but the characters on now just don't appeal me the way Hulk Hogan did back in the day.
Well,
there's a lot of going
Hulk Hogan is completely absent, guys. The sad news is that everybody that was around when you were a kid is still around. That's sad news.
Even more sad. Yeah.
All right. I think that's going to do it for what we've been watching. Jeff, you also saw Free to Play. Did you want to mention that as well?
Oh, sure. The Free to Play documentary that Valve made about Dota, their Free to Play MOBA that is.
What does Dota stand for?
Yeah,
by the way?
What is Dota? What is MOBA?
People talk about Dota. I'm like, what the hell?
Dota is Defense of the Ancients.
Right.
It's originally started as a mod for Warcraft 3 and became its own standalone thing, and it created this subgenre called MOBA, which is multiplayer online battle arena. And it's a very specific style of game where you control these hero characters that have special abilities. Meanwhile, computer-controlled drones are being unleashed in waves from your base and your enemy team's base, and using them as sort of human shields, you systematically move toward the enemy base, destroying towers along the way, and the winning team destroys the enemy's base, infiltrates the enemy's base, and destroys it. It's a very specific kind of it's a top-down perspective, although there are MOBAs from other perspectives. But generally speaking, top-down perspective, you click where you need to go and you do all these things. So my criticism, I think, of the documentary Free to Play is that it tries to be the documentary for people like you guys who are like, what is all this hullabaloo? But it isn't. It really requires a lot of foreknowledge and interest already. It isn't the like, hey, you curious about this? Go watch this documentary. The documentary is more about the people who competed in this one particular international competition that had $1 million prize pool. It was the biggest prize pool for any esports competition up to that point, which was a big deal. And it tries to do the thing that all documentaries do, which is, here's a group of people that are all competing for the same thing. Let's get to know them, and let's find that one thing about them. That's the hook for them. Oh, this guy's got the girlfriend, and this guy's got the brother, and this is the one whose mom doesn't believe in him, and whatever. Which is fine. That's sort of, I get it. They're trying to find something to grab onto for each person, but I felt like it wasn't as confident as it could have been about the subject matter. It relied on like 3D pre-rendered animation to show stuff during the fights, during the actual competition, rather than just show us the game. Like, we're probably already fans of it if we're watching this. So it didn't really do a good enough job of being introductory for non-fans to justify it having such little confidence in showing us the game. Do you know what I mean?
It wasn't like Indie Game the movie, which I would argue is really accessible to anyone.
Right, but Indie Game the movie isn't about a specific game. It's about the people who make those games. And this is trying to be about the people who play these games, but it's also about a very specific game. And I wish it had been more about that specific game. I wish we had understood why these people are winning, not just what it means to them to win. Like, I want to know the strategies that these guys are employing that made them win, or what it is about playing the game. It's as if you watched a football documentary and you only heard about the guys' families and you got no
like what made them really good at the game. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's free to play, which Jeff found disappointing. Unfortunately,
well, it is free to watch. Also, it's on YouTube. It's literally on YouTube, or you can watch it on Steam through Valve. Yeah.
All right. That's what we've been watching this week, guys. Let's move on into news. Before we do that, though, gotta give a shout out to all the people that donated to the /Filmcast this week. Thanks to Robert S. from Marina Del Rey, California, Min Yang from South San Francisco, California, and Sam Clark from the United Kingdom. Thank you guys so much for your donations to the /Filmcast. You can always contribute whatever you want, or nothing, to the /Filmcast by going to /film.com, using the /Filmcast tab, and then clicking on the left-hand sidebar links. All the money you contribute goes to helping us put on the show, see the movies we need to see, and host the podcast. So thank you guys so much for your support of the /Filmcast. Keep that support coming in. We really appreciate it. Let's move on to news. Amazon had a big event this week. Devindra Hardwar?
Yeah, I was there. They showed off.
You were there, right? Were you there?
I was there. Yeah,
there
they showed off the new Fire TV set-top box thingy.
Where was the event, by the way?
In New York. New York has a ton of meeting spaces, so it wasn't the one you guys used. It was at the Milk Gallery on the west side. And, it's what everybody expected. I think this thing has been rumored for a while, so we knew Amazon was working on sort of a Roku/Apple TV competitor. And I'm reviewing it right now. It's a set-top box. No surprises. But I think what's really interesting is that Amazon is clearly trying to sell. They're in an interesting spot, right? Because they have their streaming service, which Prime subscribers get. They get a bunch of free content on that. But they also have the stuff that they're selling, on their on-demand service. And it's basically like if you take a bit of what Apple does and a bit of what Netflix does and you put it together, Amazon's doing that in a single box, and I think that's really interesting. And of course, there's no Vudu or other competing service. So if you're, renting from Amazon, if you're renting on this box, you're renting from Amazon. So clearly, it's setting them up to be a really powerful force in the living room. But also does Android games too, which is kind of interesting because we've seen so many Android video game consoles come out, and nothing has happened. Like they've all been kind of terrible.
Well, and I think this is truly going to put the nail in the coffin for like the Ouyas of the world. Like
perhaps.
I don't know why anyone would buy an Ouya if they could buy this with my guess is what's probably a much better user experience.
I think Ouya is kind of they're looking beyond the hardware game too. I actually talked to the Ouya CEO last year, and like she did not deny that eventually they could just be a channel,
a platform.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And they have enough indie cred to get gamers to release games on their platform. I think that would work. I also got the Amazon game controller too, which is kind of terrible. So it's a start. It's really interesting. What's kind of interesting too is that every company is kind of coming out with a new set-top box. Google news about their Amazon TV thing hit yesterday. And we know that they're going to be doing a box soon. A new Apple TV is expected. So, there's going to be much more than Roku and Apple TV to choose from in the next couple of months. It'll be really interesting to see what happens.
Jeff Kanata, is this something you're going to get? You're going to get the Fire TV?
No, it isn't. but that's only because I have about 6 things plugged into my television that will do the same thing.
Right,
so,
right.
But I that isn't to say that it isn't a product that has an audience. I think it is. I think in the same way that the Fire is not the what the heck is it called? Kindle Fire. The Kindle Fire is not a product that I have any desire to own.
Right.
It is also extremely successful and is useful for people who want an entry level tablet. And this is, I think, positioned in the same way. It's like this is cheap. It's a way to say, hey, you can have gaming and you can have the set-top box in the same unit, and we'll get it to you in your home inexpensively, and we have the power of Amazon behind us to fill you with content. So I think it's a pretty smart move on their part. It's just not a product I have any use for.
Mm-hmm. It's a really interesting strategic move too. It's also probably more dangerous for Microsoft and the game companies than it is for like I don't know, Apple or something. The interesting too is that they've hired game devs. They have their own game studio.
Yeah,
so
that is going to be interesting to see.
It'll be as far as Android gaming goes, I think it's been kind of a joke up until this point. But I've been playing Civ 7, the thing Amazon created, and it's not bad. It's a tower defense type game with some FPS stuff. And it's okay. It's fine. And they'll probably do better, too.
And they own Double Helix now. So
Yeah, that'll be really interesting.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Other film news that hit this week. Richard Donner has come out and mentioned that there's a Goonies sequel on the way.
Wait, what year is this? What year are we?
It's 2014.
I've heard this before.
It's 2014, Jeff Canada.
Oh, because I think I heard this in 2003 and in 2006 and 2012.
Here's the ultimate question I have for you guys. Was
Yeah.
Goonies actually a good movie, or are we just remembering it wrong?
It's actually a good movie.
Yeah?
I
is.
disagree. I like it. I grew up loving it. It's not a good movie, but yeah.
Let me tell you, here's the recipe to make a Goonies sequel good. Are you listening, Hollywood? Because here it comes. Don't fall into the trap about making this movie about the same characters as Goonies 1. Make this movie about which is what they're talking about doing, making a movie about their kids. So if you make the movie about their kids, you have to make the movie a comment on how these kids who used to be the Goonies are now adults and out of touch with what it was to be a Goonie. Like, you have to juxtapose the whole idea of being a kid and that adventure and that feeling like your parents don't understand you and you got to, down here is our time, up there is their time. That kind of sentiment has to come through, and I think it can resonate even more because you show that it happens to everybody. It's the cycle of life that who were once Goonies are now the Goonies' quote-unquote enemies because they're adults. That, I think, is a charming, fun film if you add in sufficient adventure and likable kid characters. I think that's the way to do it.
I mean, the question you want to answer is, are you a Goonie or a Gooner? Do you see
and you give me a bad time.
You see what I did there, Jeff?
Yeah, see, and you almost kicked me off the show at the beginning, and here we are. It's come full circle, David Chen.
But Devindra, you're not a fan of Goonies, or
No, I mean,
is it a movie you enjoyed when you watched it?
I liked it when I was a kid. It's a great kids movie, but it's one of those things that just didn't hold up when I rewatched it recently. Yeah. Even though I loved Hook growing up, and I rewatched that, and I actually still like Hook, even though I see its flaws. I think it's far more successful and better movie than Goonies is.
Dare you compare to Hook?
Yeah. I'm just like every 80s kid blowing up right now.
Who knows? I mean, okay, you're right. Richard Donner, who, like, in my opinion, hasn't really made anything that that has stuck out to me in the last few years.
16 Blocks was okay, but yeah, he's just been in hiding for a while, right?
Yeah. You're right that he has come out and talked about this a few times. But here's the thing, guys. We're in the age. Here's what I've come to conclude. We're in the age where anything is possible, guys. Right?
Rules don't matter.
Arrested Development came back from the dead. Like, I never thought that would happen. Futurama was revived. Family Guy was revived. We're seeing 24 come back to TV in a month, which I'm really looking forward to. It's just like anything is possible. So these projects.
Star Wars came back, guys. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Anything is possible if you're trying to revive a property or deal with a known property.
Exactly.
It is much harder to get something new and original made.
That's
today,
true.
Probably.
That's true. That's true. Anyway, we'll see if Donner's plans come to fruition. But wanted to point out that it is in the mix for another. He's in the mix for another Goonies film. Finally, wanted to just point out that Key and Peele are attached to produce a remake of Police Academy with director Scott Zabielski. And so wondering if you guys have any demand for this. I just know that Key and Peele are in my opinion, two of the funniest people alive today. So I'm
Is
really...
the sound effects guy in?
He's like the captain now.
That's your only question. Yeah.
That's my only question. That's my.
As long as he's running the whole joint, this movie will be great.
No, this movie could be super subversive and awesome now. I mean, especially in the hands of these two dudes. Like, if they allow them to make this an indictment of police in the new millennium, like a super subversive and like about what it is to live in a police state that we all seem to be okay with in this country, like that could be so good. But I have a feeling it'll just be fart jokes and silly noises. But
we'll see. Yeah, I mean, their comedy is. I find it really smart. You know.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, it is.
Yeah. So hopefully that'll come to pass. Your vision.
21 Jump Street or something.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Something else to look forward to. Anyway, that's all for film news today. Let's move on, guys, to our discussion of Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Most of the intelligence community doesn't believe he exists. The ones that do call him the Winter Soldier. He's a ghost. You'll never find him.
I joined S.H.I.E.L.D. to protect people. Captain, to build a better world sometimes means tearing the old one down. That makes enemies.
That was from the trailer of Captain America: The Winter Soldier, the newest Marvel film. This one was directed by Anthony Russo and Joe Russo, and it stars Chris Evans, Samuel L. Jackson, Scarlett Johansson, and Robert Redford, as well as Anthony Mackie, I should point out. So, guys, this is the latest Marvel movie, and
this is the ninth Marvel movie.
The ninth Marvel movie
My God.
in probably fewer than 9 years, right?
Yeah.
So pretty remarkable that this thing's still going, and also something else worth pointing out is that this movie is wildly successful. Like, it made over $100 million. It's doing great overseas, despite the fact that it's called Captain America. And so this is yet another hit. Marvel is just unstoppable these days. So briefly, I mean, Jeff Kanata, what were your thoughts on Captain America: The First Avenger, which was directed by Joe Johnston? And going into this, kind of what were your expectations here?
Well, I should point out, for those that might not know me as well, I am a Marvel zombie from way back. I love Marvel. Grew up with the comic books. I mean, I retreated into the world of Marvel comics as a kid because I was so nerdy that I didn't fit in anywhere, and I honestly found solace in these stories. I think this was before nerd was cool, and these stories really were my fantasy world. I mean, I read a lot of science fiction and fantasy as well, but nothing captured my imagination like Marvel. I read some DC stuff too and other comics, but I was a full-on Marvel kid. And I've often fantasized. I mean, we've done a lot of talking about how anything is possible in this world these days on this episode, but I fantasized about a universe in which there was a Captain America movie that took place in the 40s, and at the end of that movie, he falls into the ice, and then they find him they make him an Avengers movie. Like, I thought that was an impossible thing. And here we are living in that reality where that has happened, and it has happened with such aplomb and such skill and such perfection. I loved the first Captain America movie. Captain America's my guy. He and Spidey were my favorite characters growing up. I respond to the Boy Scout characters, and Cap was always my guy. And I just thought the first film really did such a great job with a very difficult character to get onto a big screen. He's a very difficult character to not look silly.
Yeah, to not look
he's such
goofy.
an earnest character too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's like a combination of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that first movie. And the thing that has struck me about, or there's many things, but one of the biggest things that struck me about Marvel's continued wave of success is how they have somehow managed it. I think that comic book stories inherently are easy to tell when they are origin stories. There's a set 3-act structure. There's it makes sense. You can wrap your head around, a average Joe getting powers, and conquering the big evil force by the end of the movie, right? You get that. But the way that Marvel has managed to make the non-origin stories, that second step, still be just fantastic films, and I think that is on display here as well. This Captain America story is I hope you guys can't hear that. It sounds like a alarm.
Hearing a little bit of something.
I apologize. That's someone in my building's alarm is going off. Anyway, the way that this second film, I think, is even better than the first Captain America film. For my money, it is the second best Marvel movie after the Avengers. And it just hits on all cylinders. It feels like a Bourne film with superpowers. It's got its own tone, its own unique genre carved out of the Marvel universe. It nails the character. It does such a great job on so many levels of creating a twisting, interesting story with unexpected turns. My girlfriend, fiance I should say, who is not a comic book person and didn't have the backstory that I had with these characters, still found a lot of joy in this movie just because she didn't know where it was headed. It's a really interesting thriller. But it gets so much right in that character. It gets how he moves, how he talks, his attitude about things. It's Marvel working on a level that of care and knowledge about these characters that only they seem to be able to show.
Everybody else comes from picking directors too, who really kind of get
cast. I would say their movies are spectacularly well cast. I had certain doubts about Chris Evans when he was first announced as Captain America, but I think he does such a great job in that role, and in this movie in particular, he handles that guy, which is a tricky thing to pull off, in being earnest, as you say, being the Boy Scout, being a guy who's not willing to bend, but he doesn't come off as corny at any point. And Marvel is so smart in knowing that we need to like hanging out with these characters. Captain America is a funny movie. The Winter Soldier is a funny movie. These characters interact in ways that are really charming, and the banter between Black Widow and Captain America is fun to watch, and they do such a great job of introducing the new character of the Falcon, and his relationship is established very quickly and very deftly, I would say, and you like that guy, and you like his relationship with Steve Rogers, and there's so much to like in this movie. And then you have the action sequences, which I thought were fantastic as well, and really well-paced movie. We get action sequences on a fairly regular clip, and they're different, and they're unique, and they're fun, and Cap is powerful and effective at what he does. We get that he's the best soldier in the world. It's great. I loved every second of this movie, and I can't wait to watch it again.
Devindra Hardwar, your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I guess answering the same questions, right? The first Captain America movie, I'm actually not a fan of the Boy Scouts. I always find them so tiresome and so annoying. I couldn't stand Cyclops in the original X-Men movies for those reasons. But
to be fair, he did get totally shafted, not only in plot, but also in screen time as well. So
yes.
So you must have found that satisfying.
Especially in X3. Yeah.
Also an example of Marvel not handling that character. I think if Marvel had been in charge of the X-Men franchise, it would not have, but go on.
It would have been a little different, I'm sure. But yeah, the thing is, the first Captain America movie, I was surprised at how much it worked for me, because it is tough to do that sort of like endearing, very like honest and innocent story very well. It's a very classical story. It feels very old school, basically. It felt like a story from, an old comic serial. And it worked for me on, I thought it was fine, but it wasn't amazing to me. Whereas this movie, I actually think, is the best Marvel production we've got, because it is fantastic from beginning to end. And I love Avengers, and I love how difficult that was to put together, and I understand how much of a miracle that movie is. But, I've rewatched it many, many times. It does take a little while to get going. I wish the aliens actually I wish we knew what was going on there, other than them being Loki's vehicle for destroying the world. So there are issues with the Avengers, whereas this movie It is just rock solid from the beginning. That like you have him meeting Falcon early on. You have that boat. There's a boat sequence. Dave, we were talking last week about how like, man, it'd be great if somebody did like a Splinter Cell type action movie. They just did that.
Yeah,
in like
they
10
just
minutes.
totally did that in this movie. Yeah,
Yeah, in 10 minutes, and then moved on. And then I love that it started off strong. It kind of, and unlike some of the other Marvel movies, I think Iron Man 1, as great as that movie was, it kind of falls apart for me at the end with the big bad battle and everything. Whereas this, great all throughout. I love Evans in this role, but specifically, I love what the Russo brothers brought to this vision, and especially the way they've handled action in this movie. It's just fantastic. Definitely the best action of all the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
It's shot in a very clean and clear way, even though there is some shaky cam at times. But it's all like really well choreographed, really interesting. They do some really interesting things with Captain America's powers and the way he uses the shield, and it's just like badass all the way through. Like I had a stupid grin on my face throughout this entire movie, and partially it was because of how awesome Captain America was, but also every character gets their thing to be awesome. Like, this is the best use of Black Widow in the Marvel Universe. There's a great sequence in that opening scene of just her taking down guys while rappelling down something that was just like bloody awesome. Like, it is action movie awesome. And I love that, we've seen a lot of things from the Russo brothers, actually. They've directed episodes of Community and Arrested Development. So it's really funny. It's great to see how they brought their comedy timing sense to this movie too, because it's hilarious. The script is great, but they get the timing down. But I was shocked at how well they did with the action, because the first movie had some good action, but it felt very prosaic, felt very by the book. Didn't feel like they were trying to do anything new or interesting. Whereas this, like, there are sequences in this movie that are so cool. I just wanted to like rewind the theater and watch it again right there. So yeah, I love this movie. And no wonder it's doing so well. And everyone was thinking like, man, I guess Captain America 3 probably won't be much of a threat to was it Superman versus Batman in a couple years? But now, I don't know, especially if these guys are doing it again.
So let me say I love this movie as well. I really enjoyed it. I would actually put it probably under Iron Man and the Avengers. Iron Man 1 and the Avengers, is like, those are probably my two favorites. This might be my third favorite, but that they still, I really like this movie a lot. Like, I also had a big grin on my face throughout the entire thing. And all the points you guys make are like totally true. And I agree with pretty much all of them, but there are a few things that I don't agree with. So since you've already spent like 15 minutes praising this movie, I feel like I can just pull out some things that
Sure.
that I didn't agree with you guys on, or like I might not be as enthusiastic with you guys on.
There's one casting bit I think could have been better, but
I think like some of the action is actually not shot as well as I would like. It's shot like Bourne action, which is like really close. Really shaky cam. And if you compare this action with a movie like, let's say, The Raid 2, which is going to be out soon as well, like, he uses wide shots. You really understand the geography. I don't feel that's as true in this movie. But that being said, the action scenarios are so creative that, like, there's like what like the setup for the action is and how the action is actually filmed. And I think the action, how it's filmed, is okay. I don't think it's amazing, but I think the scenarios sometimes are so good that it totally compensates for any shortcomings in the actual like filming of the like the actual shots themselves.
The shaky cam isn't there throughout the entire movie, just some specific scenes.
Right. But it basically, it does get really up close to the action. So sometimes it can be challenging to understand what's going on.
Can I bring up something real quick? This is something I've brought up every time I've talked about this movie with people, and you guys can let me know if you'd rather not talk about this. But I couldn't help, while watching this, comparing it to Man of Steel, because Man of Steel was such a titanic disappointment for me, and I'm such a fan of Superman, and in the same, I think Superman and Captain America are, to their universes, the same role. They're the Boy Scout who refuses to be anything other than, they're a symbol. They're right. They are. In fact, I think I'm friends with a guy on Facebook named Chris Rafferty who wrote, I wish I had written as eloquently as he did a description of what that thing is in Cap, and it's I love this phrasing, morally steadfast, honest to a fault, an effortless leader, and an inspiration to those around him. That describes both of those characters.
Right.
And I feel like this Captain America movie is a lesson for Warner Brothers in how they should have handled Superman. And it sucks to me that we have this movie, Man of Steel, which has set the tone for what Superman is going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Captain America, it shows that you can create a hero who has all those qualities, doesn't feel corny, stands up for what's right, protects people first, puts himself, below the safety of others, is completely a man out of time, and in the same way that Superman's a man out of this world.
Yeah.
And yet prioritizes America and Americans and humanity in general. It worked on so many levels, and it had humor. It had him. He's likable, and yet he's not cracking jokes every second.
Right.
He's just charming, grounded.
Well, they didn't try to make him so I guess broody, because they tried to make Superman like Batman, and that's the problem with a character like that.
Batman is the only superhero who should be like that. He's the only one that gets to be like that. And if you paint your entire universe with the Batman paintbrush, you're not. It's bad. It's not good. Superheroes are supposed to be inspirational. They're supposed to be characters we want to hang around with. We want to be like.
Right.
Batman is the only exception. He gets to be.
There are a lot of dark bros, but definitely not Superman. Definitely not Captain America.
Yeah.
Something along these lines I think is kind of interesting too. Before this movie started, I sat through 4 movies with the Marvel flippy logo thingy. Not all of them are Marvel Studios, but I sat through the trailers for Guardians of the Galaxy. For what else? Spider-Man.
Nice.
So many, a couple others too. And DC, where is DC? What's going on here? It kind of shows not only the monopoly that Marvel Studios has on kind of the comic book universe and comic book movies right now, but also these stories overall are dominating. Oh yeah, the X-Men trailer was there as well. It's just insane, and people are just seeing Marvel in front of everything. I think I also really liked Marvel stuff growing up. Before I drifted more towards anime and stuff. It's just kind of funny to see how it's happening now in the movies.
I mean, DC really crapped the bed on this one. I mean, they had numerous opportunities, and they messed it up. I mean, Green Lantern was a disaster. So, Jeff, in response to your point, totally agree. I think your points about the contrast are right on. One thing I wanted to dispute with you guys is I do not think that Marvel has done a good job of sequels. I mean, I thought Iron Man 2 was not very good.
Iron Man 2 is the worst Marvel movie done by Marvel Studios, in my opinion.
Iron Man 3 was significantly better than Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
I did not think Thor 2 was at all good.
I disagree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty terrible.
It was kind of on the ledge on Thor 2.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty terrible. But yeah, so the thing that starts to set in with these movies is they all start to take on a sort of creeping amount of sameness, right? Because all these movies, a lot of them just have the same thing over and over again, which is, we have to stop this massive threat to the world.
Sure.
What is the threat going to be this time? Is it going to be a blue laser in the sky? Is it going to be some insane dude who's drunk with power? Is it, it's usually the same thing over and over again.
Right.
I feel like this movie was able to make that interesting, right? Which is
because it was about America.
It was about that's right. It was about America, and Jermaine Lucier at slashfilm.com called it a game changer for the Marvel universe.
Yes,
I would say the plot is very subversive, and I appreciated that as well. But one thing that I do fear, right, is that a lot of these movies, it's going to be increasingly difficult to have a movie that feels like it has good stakes. That doesn't feel the same as all the other 8 or 9 Marvel movies.
Sure.
And I think this movie pulls it off, but I don't know how many more movies can pull it off because it's just so challenging.
Well, they're going into weird and weirder territory, like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy, that should be
different.
That looks like totally unique. So
yeah.
But it's just it's a very fine line to walk, and I think they pulled it off. So yeah, I have very little negative to say about this movie. I mean,
this is amazing. This is very different.
All of us agreeing on a movie. Yeah, I know.
Well, yeah.
It's just it was a great time at the movie theater. I mean, it's why we go to the movies. It's beautiful people. talking to each other, being funny, and then killing a lot of other guys.
And being awesome.
Yeah.
I love the plot, by the way, because not only it does completely shift the Marvel Universe, it'll actually have some pretty stark ramifications for the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show.
Implications.
Yeah. Yes.
Stark.
For the Agents of
I think
S.H.I.E.L.D.
everybody's going to be Thor after the fights that they were in.
I hate you
man.
guys. I hate you all. It's kind of fascinating, like how much they were willing to change in a single movie like this. Because I feel like what ends up happening in this movie is something they'd reserve for like an Avengers film or something.
Right. But at the same time, okay. I mean, the Avengers happen, and then they would always like refer to the events of quote unquote New York, but it's not like. And they're still like on some level dealing with the implications of that event, but it's not like it's like prominent in like all these other movies. Do you know what I mean?
I would argue smart is that they're willing to change the status quo.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
That is, I think, the thing that this movie reeked of for me is confidence. This is a studio that now is so confident about its characters, its universe. Like, it assumes a lot of knowledge from the audience.
Right.
And it gets away with incredibly comic booky things that I can't, as a comic book fan, I can't believe the mainstream audience just goes, oh, a guy with a metal arm? Yeah, sure, cool, no worries. Don't expect to explain that.
Now, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it's amazing that all of that now feels grounded and feels good. And they're not afraid to embrace these things about their comic book stories that aren't particularly mainstream. They embrace it. You know, they make it part of the canon, and the audiences go with them. It's great.
Right. Yeah. But I think this is a movie that, unlike any of the previous character movies, like, you will not be able to have another Marvel movie without dealing with what happens in this movie.
This is true.
Or a television show.
Right.
Or a television show.
There you go.
But this is also, I think, because of how big everything that went down in this movie is this is another scenario where, like, hey, where are the other Avengers guys? I think somebody would be kind of, hey,
would Iron Man want to like jump in on this one? You know,
I think Iron Man would be kind of pissed off.
But that's how all the solo. I mean, even in the comics, it's like the solo stories where it's like, well, there's bad stuff happening. Should you not make a call to all your super friends? That's part of it. You have to.
I think Thor 2, like, we could look past that a little because a lot of it was just taking place in Asgard. But this is like clearly this is a big problem, guys. Like, let's assemble. You gotta call on the crew or something. But that's kind of a nitpicky thing for this movie. I will say I love the way they handled the greater plot. It's a story also about kind of the security state we're dealing with right now, and we're seeing several comic movies kind of dealt with that as well. Dark Knight did. But I guess this did it.
This is like way better. This handled that topic way better. Yeah.
Like, this is post Edward Snowden revelations. Like, this is taking it to another level, and I love that they did it deftly. It didn't feel cheesy. It didn't feel corny. It felt like there were actual stakes.
Yeah. It didn't feel didactic. It didn't feel didactic to me.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like, oh, we're trying to get out this message about the state of our country or anything like
and
that.
It's not just an evil guy trying to take over the world. Like, I loved all that about it. So, this movie. And by the way, Henry Jackman's score, fantastic, which is kind of the first thing I can say about a Marvel movie. Like, even the Avengers had Al Silvestri. It was fine. It was okay.
No, I disagree. I mean, I think that what is his name? Brian Tyler, right? He has done like a lot of the so the new Marvel Studios title sequence. He wrote that, and he also did Thor and Iron Man 3. And I thought those were like the beginning of like a very long and successful career doing these types of things. Like that is, it almost like gave me like reminders of John Williams. Not quite to that level, but very, very good, like very solid. And like, I could see like how the next Avengers movie is going to be in a much better place from a score perspective if they let him do it, which he is doing. He's doing Avengers Age of Ultron. So
his stuff has been good. It's just, I really like what Henry Jackman has done because I don't know, he's been doing some good stuff. X-Men First Class, I kind of talked you into looking at that score as a good one, Dave, and I really enjoyed that. So I don't know, I found it very fitting. Whereas Thor 2, it was good, it was fine, but I don't know. I just didn't remember that score much, or Iron Man 3's. Whereas this one's like I was all into everything going on in this movie.
Interesting.
I think one of the best things you can say about this movie is that it has Robert freaking Redford in it, and we've been talking about it for 20 minutes and haven't even brought him up. Like we've been heaping praise on this movie and haven't even mentioned Robert Redford, which is it just goes to show how great all the other elements are and how great the actors that they've gotten to be part of this universe. And I was shocked that Redford was not only in it, he's a big part of it, and he does some pretty comic booky stuff. Like, there's some, he's not just there to be, to add a little gravitas, for a couple of minutes. He's in it. He's doing comic book stuff.
He's fully invested in this role. So, all right, guys, I think let's move on to spoilers for the last 10 minutes here. Spoilers for Captain America: The Winter Soldier coming up right now.
Now you're looking for the secret.
You're going to see this coming?
No. But you won't find it because, of course,
you're not going to see this coming.
You're not really looking.
I have been puzzling over how it works.
You don't really want to work it out.
Who's in the box?
I have been dying to tell you. I want to tell you my secret.
You want to be fooled.
One of the things that I don't think was as strong about this movie, or that I can relate with people who found this irritating, is that a lot of it is just set up for future Marvel movies, right? The whole Winter Soldier stuff. Whether your comfort level with that is going to depend, like your mileage is going to vary. I think they struck a pretty good balance, but like with having like a self-contained plot, but also having stuff that they're going to continue in the future. But other people may not feel the same way. So I don't know how you guys felt about that.
Yeah, I don't understand that criticism at all, because everything going on here, not only does it tell a personal story, but it does have big ramifications for the immediate world right now. It tells us, we've been watching S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of grow, across all these movies. And I think what's most fascinating about this plot is that we've seen S.H.I.E.L.D. grow into this organization that could conceivably launch something, like this, that could, be all Minority Report and try to kill people before they do anything, That doesn't seem that out of the question, because the world has built that up, basically.
Yeah. I think that if you're not down for that, then the Marvel movies aren't for you. Like, that's what makes the Marvel movies special.
Right.
Because we've never seen that before. We've never seen a series of different characters in their own films all lead up to big things.
Right.
Like, that's what's special about this. So if you're not down for, oh my gosh, it's all just set up for whatever, then that's kind of what Marvel's not for you.
Well, I would argue that there are some movies like Iron Man 2 that was too much setup. Like, it was too much setup for future films and to the detriment of the story in the actual film.
Perhaps.
And I think this movie struck a good balance, but I can understand. I'm sympathetic with people who don't feel the same way.
It definitely struck a better balance, but if that's all you took away from this movie, then I don't know.
No, I'm not saying that's all I took away. I'm just saying, like, some people, like...
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I don't know what to say to them. But
my favorite...
Iron Man 2, by the way, like, I don't know if you guys have rewatched that recently, but I didn't hate it as much as everybody else, and I've rewatched it recently. Like, I think a lot of it is us just not being used to the fact that it's a movie that did have to set up certain things later on, and it did pay off later on, too. But I don't know.
Iron Man versus Iron Man drunken fight in the middle, I will never forgive it for. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That didn't set up Diddley Bupkis, and it didn't need to be in the movie.
Yeah, and this whole, like, oh, Tony Stark, he's not in the Avengers, but then he ends up... We all know he's going to be in the Avengers anyway. Right. You know what I mean? Anyway, my favorite thing about this movie is... Toby Jones makes an appearance as the Dr. Zola, right, in the computer. Like, the idea that he wanted... We've seen people try to put their brain into a machine before, and I love that they respected the fact that back then a computer was the size of, like, a room.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful sequence.
I mean... The fact, it's probably still wildly implauple. I mean,
they clearly had AI technology.
The read-write speeds alone, from back then, are going to make that impossible. But
those tapes would have disintegrated by then.
But dude, what they did with that scene is they completely disguised a massive info dump. Like that is a scene that only exists to give you exposition,
right?
And yet it's so cool in its own right that you completely forgive it.
I agree.
Because And I think they did that twice in that movie. At the beginning, when Cap is walking through the monument to himself and watching stuff and having those moments, all that is doing is giving you vital information that the audience needs. They're like, okay, Bucky is a thing. They were friends. He died. This is all information you need to know. Let's catch you up. Yeah. But because it's done in such a beautifully awesome way,
right.
and it has ramifications for the character himself just being there and his interaction with the little kid, all that stuff is done so well that we forgive this huge exposition scene. It's just great.
Agreed. It was a really effective sequence. Both sequences, I agree with you completely. And I just love the idea that they gave respect to this, the fact that the guy's mind would be on tapes. I just can't get over how awesome that is.
They went with it.
They went and built
it. Blew it up. It sucks that they went.
Yeah.
I wanted that to still be a thing. I wanted that to be around more.
I mean, that scene was also kind of stupid because like
now he's died. Let me explain everything.
Yeah, let me explain everything we're doing. Like, why is he helping him? Because they were obviously enemies in the last film. So, but whatever, we can overlook
James Bond villain problem. Yeah,
we can overlook those things.
We didn't talk about Anthony Mackie much, but I loved him in
He's
this.
Great.
Just like so good. And the rapport he has with Chris Evans just feels natural and completely organic. And even though like the Falcon, like they didn't really explain too much. It's like, oh yeah, he has these wings. This technology exists. I love that we're in this world so deep now that it's like, oh yeah, guy has flying wing, metal wings. Totally plausible. Doesn't have to be super powered. Not Stark technology.
It would have been nice. I mean, it would have been nice if they had done slightly more setup into why he was such a freaking badass with those things, because he is like incredible with like he actually is instrumental towards them winning the last fight. And it's just like out of nowhere, this random dude that he met while jogging is now like the ultimate Falcon badass. It's just it would have been nice to have a little more setup. That's all.
Would have been nice, and we are still dealing with the fact that we have people like Black Widow and this guy who are just humans. They're just really skilled humans
right.
living in a world where we have superpowered super soldiers and evil villains with metal arms and shit. So I don't know. We still have to deal with that balance, but I think this movie, even better than the Avengers, kind of handled that well, because in the Avengers, Black Widow and Hawkeye, like I feel like they stood out just a little.
So guys, let's bring up the obvious, which is, dude, S.H.I.E.L.D. basically gone now, man. Like as we knew it.
As a comic book reader, it feels like they're setting up for Secret War. I don't know how familiar you guys are with that, but there was a very prominent series written by Brian Michael Bendis several years ago where the same thing happened and S.H.I.E.L.D. had to go underground. Mm-hmm. And it feels like they're setting up that, which led directly into Civil War, which was the big fight between Iron Man and Captain America. Like they both chose a side and fought each other. Which, if Marvel is leading there, holy crap, that would be unbelievable.
And doesn't that make sense though, to like pull the best plot lines from the comics? Like we've seen that.
But that would be so amazing, right? That they were willing to do, because the thing is, this movie could have rested on its laurels, and not. It could have just been, oh hey, Captain America, some Russian spy is trying to take over America. We got to stop him. Like it could have been like the next. You could have been like that new Jack Ryan movie, right? It could have been completely something that we've seen a gajillion times before. But nope, they're upending the entire premise of their franchise. And so,
and also in the comics, this storyline, this Winter Soldier storyline, directly leads to Bucky becoming Captain America. Uh-huh. So if Marvel is thinking, well, Chris Evans isn't going to be on for infinite movies, and we need a new Captain America,
right?
That may be where they're headed.
Yeah? Oh God, that's one thing I'm kind of not looking forward to, because my main casting problem with this movie is that Sebastian Stan, as much as I liked him in the first one, did nothing for me as Winter Soldier. Like the physicality of the character and the fights were awesome, but the guy does not. Like whatever expression he's trying to give across, there's nothing there. Like it just feels like I know they don't give him any lines. He's been brainwashed, or he's supposed to be empty, whatever. But I feel like somebody could have given us a little something more.
It's true. I think you're going a little bit hard on him, but I agree that maybe a better actor would have brought more to that role. I can agree with that. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, Chris Evans has said that he's.
Right.
He may retire after the Avengers thing has run its course. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we'll see how that ends up going. I mean, they'll want to continue this gravy train for as long as possible.
Oh, for sure.
What did you think of the stinger at the end? Right. So the stinger introduces, as far as I can tell, it introduces Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch.
Yes.
Into the mix. Scarlet Witch apparently played by Elizabeth Olsen, which is awesome.
Yep.
So Jeff Canada, any thoughts on that?
Well, I geeked out like a nerd.
People screamed in my theater. Yeah.
The cool thing is there was a little meat to that stinger, right? That not only do we have a reference to those characters, we see those characters, we see the actors that are going to play those characters, and we see those characters using their powers, which is pretty awesome. And clearly they're going to play prominent roles in Avengers 2. So I couldn't be more jazzed about that. I mean, it also made me feel like, God damn it, why doesn't Marvel own the rights to all their... Because if we got the cool X-Men crossover now because, Magneto is their
They're
dad.
Technically Magneto's kids, yeah. So
you could it could all be tied together.
Quicksilver is in Days of Future Past too. So we have two Quicksilvers that are going to be in movies at the same time. It's very confusing.
Well, he's very fast, so he can go between sets.
Well, one is Aaron Taylor Johnson, the other is some dude in a horrible costume. So
Yeah, that is a huge bummer, Jeff. And for those who don't know, the rights for Marvel characters were split up between a bunch of studios. That's why
it really was the reason Marvel survived back in the day.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's sad now that Marvel has their shit together and seems to be able to make their own characters, despite having these characters that shouldn't work in movies like Thor. They can seem to make movies out of them. Oh, by the way, the reference to Stephen Strange in this movie.
Good.
Oh, I can't wait for that movie. But
so can you explain that a little bit more, Jeff?
So Doctor Strange is a character that is in his own little corner of the Marvel universe, which is sort of the mystical side. So if you've basically got the Avengers, which are sort of the New York street level superheroes, and you've got Guardians of the Galaxy, which are sort of the cosmic spacefaring superheroes, and then you've got the sort of urban superheroes, which are Spider-Man, not owned by Marvel Studios, sadly, as we're seeing with this new movie coming out, and guys like Luke Cage and Daredevil, and those guys that are going to be in the purported Netflix series. Those are the sort of urban, real alleyway heroes. Doctor Strange is the mystical side of the heroes. He's this. He was a medical doctor who had a life-threatening illness and got into mystical medicine and became the world's greatest sorcerer. So he does magic. So we have yet another different genre for Marvel movies being tied into the overall universe, because if they do it right, and I suspect they will because they certainly seem to be able to, this will feel very different than any of the Marvel movies previous to it, just like Guardians of the Galaxy feels very different. So that's really exciting, and the fact that he will exist alongside the Avengers, he's a very important character in the comics as far as being one of the sort of brain trust of Marvel characters, one of the smartest guys. And
what was the reference in the film? I remember it. I remember hearing it. I just don't remember what it was.
He was just listing off people who are dangerous, and he listed off.
Satellite could kill.
Yeah. So it's basically planting the fact that this character, we've got him. He exists in this universe already. Expect to see him sometime. And they say that he's part of whatever wave we're in, wave 3 or 4 or whatever.
This is wave 2, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that the Doctor Strange movie is on the docket.
Going to happen. It's kind of awesome that they could just spit a name out there too and get people excited. Like, that is the power Marvel Studios wields right now. And it is kind of amazing. One thing I want to say about the plot before we finish, though, is that I really wish we saw some seeds of the Hydra stuff earlier on.
That would have been
mind-blowing.
That would have been pretty badass, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think we really did, right? Like, did anyone see this coming from previous Marvel films, right?
I don't think so. And the thing is, wouldn't the Hydra plan, wouldn't they want the bad guys to win in the Avengers or maybe some of the other movies? Wouldn't they actively be working against our heroes at some point that we could see? I wish we got more of that, honestly. Yeah. But maybe that's asking for a little too much.
Jeff, what are your thoughts on that, Jeff?
I can see what you're talking about. I think from a comic book perspective, when Brubaker wrote this story, which is not a direct adaptation of his story, but it's pretty close. He did the same thing. He basically went, hey, guess what, guys? There's this deeper level of Hydra that's been working this entire time. So it's sort of the same way where it's like, well, there's been not really any evidence of that, but okay.
Whatever you say, man.
Yeah.
But if Gary Shandling says it's true.
Oh, my God. How bad did he look? My goodness.
Man. It's very sad.
Sad. But anyway, I'm chagrined that Marvel does not own all of its characters. I mean, Spider-Man is one thing, but I think Fantastic Four is the one franchise that I wish Marvel had the rights to most, because I feel like it's very tricky to pull off, and they would have done it. I'm so confident in how Marvel handles their own characters now at this point that I feel like they could have found a way to make the FF work really well, and they could have been integrated, and we could have had the Avengers bumping up against the Fantastic Four, and it would have been joyous to me.
Okay, so let me present a counter argument to you. First of all, I actually feel okay about the Fantastic Four coming up because it's being directed by Josh Trank, who did Chronicle, who we talked about earlier in this episode, and that was
good cast.
Yeah, it's good cast, and it's going to be. I think it's going to be solid.
I hope it's solid. I just want it to exist alongside those other characters.
Right. No, I agree. I agree that, oh yeah, like a geek part of me would be, oh my gosh, it'd be so cool to see those characters like in the same movie, right? How badass would that be? At the same time, I feel like, wow, they already have their hands full juggling all these characters, and the fact that the movies are all with different studios, I feel like pushes each studio to do as good as they humanly can to bring a good story to the screen. Now, that being said, as you point out, some studios really, really suck at it. And we've seen the results of that in films like X-Men, The Last Stand, right?
And doesn't it also sort of force the hand of these studios who all want to be in the Marvel business and all want to be in the multi-film business to do what it looks like Sony's doing, which is like, oh, we're getting a Sinister Six movie, we're getting all these other splintered off Spider-Man films in an interconnected universe, and I feel like they will only bungle that. But they're forced to do it. They're forced to have like, oh, we're gonna have that Venom movie, and we're gonna have because Marvel's does it really, really well.
Right. I wonder if this is something we can hope for in the next couple of years. Like maybe there will be some cross licensing back, so we can see some of these characters popping in. Because I think that would really help all of these movies overall. It would get people really excited. But not sure if that'll ever happen.
Yeah, we'll see. One thing I wanted to actually point out, Jeff. Is that you were so disappointed by Man of Steel and the tone that it set for this universe and blah blah blah.
Yeah, blah blah.
Yeah, all the blah blah blah. That's how much I respect your opinion.
Thanks, dude.
I'm willing to bet money that within our lifetimes we're going to see another Superman universe reboot.
That doesn't make me happy. It
has to happen, but yeah.
I'm just saying, I think it's going to happen, and if that's the case, then you'll get another chance, Jeff. So.
Yeah, I'm. Fool me once, shame on.
Fool me 5 times.
Yeah.
All right, I think we can wrap it up there, guys. So you can find music for our podcast at adamwarrock.com. That's adamwarrock.com. He wrote the theme song for the Slash Filmcast. Find more episodes at slashfilmcast.com. Email us at slashfilmcast@gmail.com. Stay tuned to hear what we'll be reviewing next week. In the meantime, Jeff Kanata, where can we find more of your work on the internet this week?
Easiest way is to follow me on Twitter at Jeff Kanata with 2 N's and 1 T, or check out my website, jeffkanata.com. If you're into video games, I host a video game show every week. Mondays it's out on the 5x5 network. You can go to 5x5.tv/DLC.
Devindra Hardawar.
Cool. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at twitter.com/Devindra, and everything else I do is at venturebeat.com.
Find me at davechen.net. You can follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/ChenDavid, and follow me on Twitter at Dave Chensky. That's Dave Chen, SKY. Next week, we're going to be reviewing Under the Skin, the newest film by director Jonathan Glazer, starring Scarlett Johansson. Scarlett Johansson has been having an amazing last year. Just all the movies she's been in, and she's doing radically different things in all of them. It's pretty awesome to see how she's, making a name for herself as a really serious actress. And
is this that Luc Besson movie? Or
no. Jonathan Glazer. It's this really bizarre film where she plays an alien who
preys on unsuspecting men.
Yeah, preys on unsuspecting men. So
look at the trailer, Jeff. I think you'd be excited for it.
I've already seen the movie. It is unlike any movie I've ever seen in my whole life. So I'm really looking forward to discussing
Nice.
it next week.
And she is doing the Best Saw movie, which looks fun.
Yes,
honestly.
Yeah.
that also looks awesome. So thank you guys for tuning into the Slash Filmcast, the official podcast of SlashFilm.com. We'll see you guys next week.
He watched the movie.